Hello and welcome to Bangladesh Today. I am Smita Prakash. The US Assistant Secretary of State Nisha Biswal was in Dhaka last week and she met with the Prime Minister and the opposition leader, urging them to end the impasse and take part in the general elections scheduled for January 2014. But the BNP led by Khaleda Zia showed no signs of giving up its Hartal politics and did not budge from its position of not taking part in the elections unless a caretaker government is put in place, which has been struck down by the Supreme Court. US Assistant Secretary of State Nisha Desai-Biswal's visit to Dhaka was part of Washington's effort to engage with the two major political parties and try and break the deadlock which is threatening the parliamentary elections of 2014. Nisha Biswal met with Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and is supposed to have conveyed that the elections should be inclusive with the participation of BNP led by Khaleda Zia. The Prime Minister, quite candidly, is said to have replied that while she appreciated Washington's interest, it would be advisable for Ms. Biswal to convey the same message to Khaleda Zia, who she would be meeting. The message was clear that several calls had been placed to the opposition to come in for negotiations, to be part of the electoral process and give up violent Hartal politics, all to no avail.
I would say dialogue, whether it's at the leadership level or whether it's at the Secretaries General level, that the dialogue is what's important. Sometimes it's easier to make progress, particularly at the technical level, when it's not at the leadership level. But I would say what's most important right now is dialogue.
Which incidentally is what Awami League has been saying all along. Dialogue and not violent strikes and shutdowns. During the meeting with US Assistant Secretary of State Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina made it clear that Bangladesh felt that the US Embassy in Dhaka was not appreciative of the full gamut of the political situation and misrepresented facts. However, US officials present at the meeting said that they were trying to portray the situation from a neutral ground.
The United States has expressed its very strong conviction that political rights must be respected. Freedom of association and freedom of assembly, the ability to have peaceful rallies and peaceful demonstrations are an important aspect of any democratic society. We have reiterated that to all parties. There's equally an obligation by all parties to provide for peaceful means of assembly and expression. And we have also underscored that violence of any kind is not acceptable in a democratic process. And we have called for a cessation of hartals that lead to violence.
Also present in Dhaka last week were Canadian lawmakers Russell Russ Habert and Joe Daniel on a three-day fact-finding mission convened by the Brussels-based South Asia Democratic Forum. The lawmakers discussed pre-poll observations with a cross-section of people and will publish their report soon.
Clearly there is a crisis going on, but what is most important, what we've heard from almost all the witnesses, is that Bangladesh has huge potential if the political situation can be stabilized. Its economy will develop and the people will be much better off with a stable political future.
Expressing concern over political uncertainty in Bangladesh, the Canadian lawmaker said every nation should strive for peaceful elections.
I think peaceful, free and fair elections are an objective that every nation should seek to strive for. And my hope is that Bangladesh will achieve that outcome, in this next election or beyond. We believe that Bangladesh has tremendous potential. The people are clearly hardworking, diligent, caring individuals, and as my colleague indicated, this country has tremendous potential if stability, particularly political stability, can be achieved. The economic growth could be substantial.
Western nations as well as the neighborhood is keen that Bangladesh hold peaceful and inclusive elections as per the constitution of the country. However, the opposition's tactics of escalating street violence has made the situation volatile. Khalida Zia's objective of getting international attention by resorting to Hartal politics has been successful. She met with President Abdul Hamid and sought his intervention. She's been urging BNP cadres to get onto the streets and force the government to crack down on them so as to create unrest and invite international attention. Bangladesh has been hit in recent months by a wave of violent protests over war crimes convictions, presenting the government with a security and a credibility challenge ahead of the polls. Despite the High Court declaring the registration of Islamic political party Jamaat-e-Islami as illegal, it continues to pull strings of the BNP by pulling in cadres to violent means to push their demands. The primary aim being halting the war crime trials. The BNP is associating with the Jamaat with an aim to win the votes of fundamentalists. Hence, the entire agenda is to portray itself as an Islamist party which is fighting a secular Awami League.
The Jamaat has got the activists who are helping them in observing their political all sort of activities. And so, if the BNP disassociate with them, BNP thinks that the non-secular voter will disassociate with them, and they are fearing that they may lose the voters. That's why they are trying to convince the fundamentalist voter in their favor. That's why they are associating with the Jamaat. And
I think in the current political environment, it would be difficult for BNP to really do that, for the simple fact that what we are seeing is that both the government and the opposition are trying to now consolidate their respective alliances. And under that kind of environment, I don't believe that BNP has any incentive now to disassociate itself with Jamaat. Now, some may raise the question, what is the credential of Jamaat, whether Jamaat is becoming too violent in recent times. But I would say that when the political space becomes restricted or political space becomes really narrowed down, then we can see some kind of violence taking place. So we have to have an objective view of the situation.
The shadowy line between the Jamaat and the BNP have completely blurred. The Jamaat is now dictating terms, and topmost in its agenda is the delay in war crimes trials. And it seems to be working, as the proceedings of the war crimes cases against Jamaat leaders Motiur Rahman Nizami and AKM Yusuf did not take place, as their senior counsels remained absent, citing unavoidable situation. Senior lawyers of the accused Jamaat leaders have been staying off the proceedings of the International Crimes Tribunal on Hartal days, citing security concerns. And this is just one of the effects of the Hartal. The humanitarian toll is another, as thousands of school children miss their exams, farmers can't sell their produce, the business community suffers loss in revenue. Since the year began, a series of general strikes called by the BNP and its Islamist allies has paralyzed Bangladesh. Hundreds have died in violent clashes between rival political factions. Also, these strikes have severely affected local businesses and the national economy. Every general strike results in a daily loss of at least $200 million. According to the Dhaka Road Transport Association, nearly 350,000 buses, minibuses and trucks are grounded during general strikes.
So this violence and definitely this effectiveness is going to the very seriously affected in the business community, and especially I should say that the financial backbone, the economy and the banking money, all flow is affected seriously. We know that the bank has a lot of the money now lying in the idle. Bank is ready to give the loan to the investor, but bank is not getting the right investor to give the loan. At the same time, lot of the industrial they are ready to start their industry, but at the same time I think due to the political turmoil they are not able to start their business properly.
The country with a huge business potential is heading towards a bigger crisis with the ongoing political deadlock. Khalida Zia has refused to recognize the all-party interim government, let alone be part of it. She led a 20-member delegation to Banga Bhavan and met with President Abdul Hamid to seek his initiative for a dialogue to end the current political deadlock. After an hour-long meeting, the President said his constitutional powers were limited with regard to taking any such initiative.
কি অবস্থা রয়েছে সেই কথা তুলে ধরেছি এবং এই রাজনৈতিক অচলাবস্থা নিরসন করার লক্ষ্যে মহামান্য রাষ্ট্রপতি যেহেতু তিনি রাষ্ট্রের সবচেয়ে বড় অভিভাবক সেই জন্য তাকে অনুরোধ করেছি এই সংকট নিরসন করবার জন্য একটি সংলাপের
I think Begum Zia is now trying to find out a way out, and last night she went and saw the president and placed her demands and requested him to arrange a kind of or initiate or facilitated some kind of dialogue between the government and the opposition, and the president has said that he would convey her message to the government party, and the press secretary has said that president would perhaps would like to see both the parties coming together and find out a kind of arrangement where both the parties can participate in the election so that the election could be free, fair and credible.
Senior advocate of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh, Abu Muhammad Aminuddin, urged feuding parties to end the impasse over the issue of a caretaker government and call for free and fair elections. Aminuddin said leading parties should discuss the forthcoming elections as there is no provision for a non-party caretaker government in the present constitution.
Under the present constitution, that is after the 15th amendment, there is no provision for forming any caretaker government. Now one thing can be done, both the parties can sit together, they can talk to each other, they can bring out a formula how the election can be held under and how a free and fair election can be conducted by the election commission with the help of the government, and the form of government can be decided by the party under the constitution.
Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina told the parliament that the president had asked her to administer the caretaker government and to proceed with the election preparations. The caretaker government headed by her will not take any policy decisions and will function as per the directives of the Election Commission. That's all in this edition. Thank you for watching Bangladesh Today.